Hi, this is Daniela Wolf with Bestie Life, the podcast, and this is your community to support you through the little and not so little events that make up your day-to-day life. From the I've got this moments to the I just can't moments. We are here to empower all women to find and develop the skills they need to find peace, balance, and the bliss in their busy. Through solo episodes as well as interviews with amazing women who share their journey and their story and how it works for you. I hope you find the inspirations to make you laugh, think, as well as maybe rethink what you thought you knew, and connect as we realize that we are all living similar ups and downs and don't have to do it alone. So excited for you to hear this episode, and thanks so much for joining me today. Hi, this is Daniela with Bestie Life, the podcast. And today I am so excited for you to meet Allison Graham. She is the owner of Elevate Biz, and she works with professionals to create better relationships with stress, improve their problem solving for the human experience at work, and design their personal capacity to create mental and emotional space for their lives for what matters to them most, which is, I think, what we're all trying to do. Her clients have often described her as tough-loved, wrapped in an empathetic hug, and she considers herself a pragmatic optimist. Her superpower is seeing patterns in human behavior and making frameworks so that it's easier for busy professionals to develop the skills to improve their mental health and increase their daily resilience. Thank you so much, Allison, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me and for everything that you're doing with this podcast. It's such an important topic and work, so super excited for our conversation.
No, thank you. And I know that was a very brief summary of all the amazing things you do. I didn't even talk about that you're a speaker and an author and everything else. So if you can share a little bit more background on your journey and everything that you do to help people.
Sure. It all really began with the surgery that went wrong. And this was this is quite some time ago. 2007. So
oh, wow.
We do the math on that. And it created neuropathic damage, which stays till today. And before that happened, I was the typical A-type personality, go, 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 giving for everybody, always trying to volunteer too much. Really, I was so focused on trying to earn my worth. Like I had a Post-it note that said, deserve to hit the pillow. And there were nights when I thought I didn't do enough for other people and I wouldn't let myself rest. And then the surgery happened and I went from living that lifestyle to having 2 to 5 hours of functionality a day. And that was for many years. And now I'm back working full time. And it's not that the pain has gone away. I just have some really strong strategies that I was forced to rely on through all of these years. And now that inspires me to help other people because it's like everybody is going through something in the background. And if they're not going through it now, they've gone through it in the past, or they're, potentially headed for something in the future. It's part of our human experience. And so there were just so many facets that I had to really dive into in order to be able to maintain my livelihood when the doctor told me to go on disability.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So that's what inspires me, because I know there are other people behind the scenes who are really struggling, and I want to share with them my frameworks to help them get through that.
Yeah, because I'm sure there's so many people that just kind of keep going and kind of trudging through and thinking this is how it's always going to be. This is how it's always been, and not being able to see that possibility of rethinking about things differently, restructuring, having different frameworks. You only know what you know, and until you know different, you don't do anything different, right?
That's right. And so much of our lives is driven by pattern, just default. Like we're just operating on default. And what I see a lot is people who are highly successful, especially and you can define success however you want, but in terms of a lot on the go, a lot of people, relying on them, they're the busy, busy, busy people.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they don't have any space in their mentally, emotionally, physically to actually take a step back and look at their life and is this how I want to live it? And when they ask the question, if the answer is no, I don't want to continue living this way, then I think to your point, a lot of people think, well, this is the only way I know to live it, which is fair because those have been, many patterns have been repeated for decades.
Or they defend their patterns. I don't know if you hear that too, where it's like, as soon as you offer something different, you get like 3 or 4 reasons why it has to be that way, right?
Yes. So it's interesting because a lot of the people I work with are choosing to look forward for they want me to give them advice. So I don't get a lot of people who are stuck in the victim trap coming into my realm because and here's the thing with my friends, I have had to learn, and I don't know who said this originally, but I love it. So please, send it out to the universe, whoever needs to be acknowledged for this. But I'll ask people, do you want to be heard, hugged, or helped?
That's fantastic. Because I think everyone comes in with a different agenda.
Yes. And so what I find is when I do get that pushback, which would typically be from my friends and the people in my life more than my clients, because my clients are paying me a lot of money to show up and help them and give them solutions. Not that they don't resist some of them at times, but for friends or colleagues or just, when it's not a coaching or consulting relationship, I just ask like, look, hugged, helped, or heard. Yeah. And it's a different hat that I will wear as the listener on the other end of somebody's challenges in life based on their answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because to even go back to what you said before, it's the people that are so busy, they don't have any space in their day, because I think mindset wise, we haven't been taught to value space. We haven't seen it as a form of value and productivity and things like that. And that's got to be a huge shift for you and your clients, right?
Oh my gosh. Because like for me, when my body was like the neuropathic pain, I didn't know how to, I didn't know how to turn it off or how to embrace it. And now I say I've made friends with my pain. It doesn't mean I like it, but I'm not angry and adding onto it and making it harder. But what I noticed for so many years was when I would be on the couch recovering, right? And we all know those times when you're just done, right? Like you're so exhausted and your body is saying, I need rest. And I would be watching a show and just trying to relax or doing something. And then the inner voice kicks into gear. And it's like, you're so lazy. What's wrong with you? Get up. I can't believe you're sleeping again. I can't believe you're, lying down when you have this and this and this to do. And, my Dr. Tony, who was my pain psychologist for 8 years, and I would just say these horrific things about myself. Like, I can't believe, how dare I take that day off? And he'd be like, who are you talking to? Because I didn't even know how badly I was beating myself up.
Right. And we're definitely our own worst enemy. We would never speak to anybody else the way we talk to ourselves and judge ourselves. But we assume if we can say this about ourselves, other people must be saying this about us too.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think really, like to your earlier point about how people don't necessarily value that space, it's a shift. But and it's like that old proverb, in order to speed up, slow down.
Yeah.
And, being strategic, I actually see people making bigger strides in their life, in their overall happiness, in their ability to embrace joy and transition their relationships when they take that space and they actually objectively look at how they're living their lives. And so now it's no longer being lazy. It's like, I am proactively recharging my body.
Yes.
Right? Because our language is
great way.
so important to just like those little nuances.
Yeah. And I've had a similar situation where I got the benefit of a physical issue not allowing me to keep living and doing the things I was doing. I had surgery on both my feet at the same time. And so I wasn't going anywhere. Lots of time on the couch. And I struggled to learn how to sit still and just sit and be and not constantly picking up, doing something on the go, that type of thing. And what a gift it was, as hard as it was at that time, to be able to learn how to just sit and be still and enjoy that downtime and that calm in that space. But not everybody has, those types of events that happen. And so they do just keep going and going and going to the point of burnout, probably, right?
Well, and then burnout is the thing that forces them to make the shift, right? Like there is a point where if you're not aligned, I think that the universe will step in and shift for you and be focused. So I'm really curious about your experience. So how did you figure out how to embrace that time when you were out of your feet, like off your feet?
Yeah, literally off my feet. Honestly, I started just even shifting the types of things I was doing. I went back to things that I enjoyed as ways, to occupy my time, and realized like, gosh, I was so happy. I took up, I was knitting again. I was reading more again. I thought I was going to teach myself to play the guitar, but that was a little ambitious. That didn't happen. But like the kids were yeah, you never know. The kids were at school, my husband was at work. And so I had a lot of time to really just sit with myself and my thoughts during that recovery period. And so, as well as just knowing what I know and doing what I do, focused on appreciating it and seeing it as that gift that it was. As a full-time working mom, I'd always been like, gosh, I wish, I could be home and put my kids on the bus in the morning, get them off in the bus. And I actually got to from a wheelchair, so it's like, you got to be specific with what you ask for too, because it doesn't always look the way you want it to, but I did still get what I asked for, and appreciated the fact that this is what I wanted, was a little bit of that slowing down and downtime to just be there. I couldn't go run around and do other things. I really enjoyed that time with my kids in different ways. It was, as well as it helped them grow, because I wasn't doing everything anymore. I learned how to delegate. I learned how to let go. I learned, those other gifts as well, being kind of one of those people that feel like I had to do it all, be it all. I learned to let people help in a different way. And I just found, as scary as I thought it was going to be, was the best thing that could have ever happened.
Wow, what a beautiful story, eh? And the gifts that come out of these random things. And you know what? So one of my biggest strategies is funny, is what I call silver lining thinking. Okay. Not the same as positive thinking. The nuance. Silver lining thinking is finding the potential reasons that are positive that something can happen. So so randomly this afternoon, I was at a different location and I couldn't find my phone. Okay. I'm like, where's my phone? I can't find it. And, I'm like, there's going to be some sort of a reason. So when I went back into the area where I'd been having my meeting, I had actually forgot my charger. It was a 45-minute drive. So I had my charger was still in the extension cord for my laptop. And I was like, oh, there's the reason. Because had I not have lost my phone, which is totally irritating to me, right? Because it's like, where is it? And you're looking and you feel like you're going in circles. But there I was. That was a blessing that I did that. And so they say hindsight is 20/20. If that horrible thing didn't happen, or that little itty bitty thing didn't happen, then this thing wouldn't have happened. And you can see it all in reverse in the rearview mirror. And so there was a point in my journey when I just chose to believe that the 2020 is actually like unfolding forward. So I just always assumed that there's going to be something that in any moment I can look back and go, oh, this was led to this. And it just helps me release a bit of angst in relation to irritations of life, right? Like even if you're caught in a traffic jam, I'm like, oh, well, you know what? I might be meeting somebody on the way in the elevator who I need to meet, right? Like it could be anything. And so just having that expectation of how you think. And so that to me is like a silver lining thinking.
I love that. It sounds like constant gratitude throughout your day.
Oh yeah. And just like believing, well, and what's that old quote? I forget, but like, it's up to you if you believe you live in a positive world that is working towards you versus, I'm totally butchering those quotes, but you know what? I bet you somebody's going to reach out to me who's listening right now and tell me the real quote.
Yes. See? If you know the quote, please let us know.
Let us know. But it's this concept of like, you get to choose, is it a positive world or is it a negative world? And what do you choose to focus on?
Yeah, because I think we do draw in and notice the things, that we are thinking about, that whole activating your RAS, your reticular activating system. You want to go buy a red car and all of a sudden you see red cars everywhere. If you want to see, that the world's against you, those kind of things, everyone's out to get you. You're going to see that versus that everything's working out for you. Everything's going to go the way you want it to eventually. That's also the way it'll work out.
Exactly. And it doesn't mean everything's great.
No.
Right. And that's, I think, sometimes my problem with the power of positive thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to be the person who would, really bought into that concept of no, don't have a negative thought, have a positive thought.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would try to play this. But what happens is if you're actually feeling really negative about a situation that is authentically negative,
Yeah.
and you try to cover it up with an exceptionally positive perspective, your brain calls BS on you.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
No, that's
so
not
invalidating.
true. Yeah. Like it's like
Mm-hmm.
completely invalidating. So a couple tricks I have for that. Number one, embrace the suck. Like what sucks. It's like there's a lot of suckage in our lives, right? And so we just acknowledge it, and we don't, I believe if we process it
Mm-hmm.
to its fullest while it's happening, then we won't hold on to it long term. Right. I think
Okay.
it's because we're trying to like stuff it down, let it go, let it go. Everybody tells you to let it go. But the very things we're often told to let go are the very things that impact us the most in our emotional and our mental and our soul. And yet we're just told to get rid of it. So I'm like, no, lean into it. And then the other little trick I have is to be sure I don't hook on to the negativity, is to create at least 2 other storylines.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So it can't be one, because then if you're leaning negative and you try to come up with positive, your brain's going to go back to the negative. But if you have 3 to choose from, or 4 other possibilities, your brain kind of unlatches from the worst case scenario and goes, there are possibilities here. Why don't I wait and see what's going to happen?
It's a smaller percentage at that point, even if you still think the negative.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So those are like little things that have really helped me over the years, I think.
Yeah. No, I love all those strategies. So definitely rewind this if you need to, grab a notebook and write those things down, because I think they're so important in just making those tiny shifts, because obviously these things are going to take time, it's going to take some practice, but making those tiny shifts consistently is how you start changing the way you think and the way you act and the way you feel.
Absolutely. And it is those small steps, right? It's like, there's no big, we're not going to just all of a sudden be perfect, unless, somebody can tell me how. Sure, why not? But it would lose a lot of the joy out of life, right? If we were, but we learn and continue to, keep growing.
So what are some of the things you do to take care of yourself now on a regular basis, your kind of personal self-care practices?
Yeah. So I have a funny relationship with self-care, because in its truest sense of the word, I mean, well, how do you define self-care? I guess that would be the first question, right?
Yeah, no, I definitely, not your traditional spa days, bubble baths, massages. I think from a more practical self-care model that looks at everything from how you sleep, how you eat, how you think about money, how you dress, how you decorate your home, how you connect with others, as well as, yes, some of those other practices, journaling, meditation, movement, all of those kind of things, but not just a once a week kind of thing. I look at it throughout your entire day, things that light you up and make you feel good about yourself every day.
Okay. So I love that definition and perspective. And here's why, because I think early in my journey, and even now, if you just go to the internet, if you just go to YouTube and you look at how do I take better care of myself, they're going to tell you what I call the critical 6 of stress management: nutrition, exercise, meditation, strong social circles, laughter and optimism. And there's one more, doesn't matter. But it's all the things you would expect.
Right.
And the issue with that is when somebody is suffocating on their daily grind, and you tell a mom of 3 who's climbing the corporate ladder, who also has a side hustle and is trying to, take care of her elderly aunt or something, that she needs to just, the answer is just add some exercise. She's gonna resist.
That sounds impossible.
Right. But what can we stack into our day? That's my philosophy.
Yeah.
So it's living in a way where you notice, where you have enough space and a habit of like bringing the awe into our lives. So that bird, that leaf, like I'm often mesmerized by, I'm up in Canada and we have snow, and I'm like so like I'm the cheerleader for the leaves that hold on all winter long.
Yeah.
I'm like, how did you do it? Right? Like they're still falling. Like, and I know that sounds so simple, but if we don't find those little itty bitty things, it's really hard to find the big things.
Yeah.
And if we're always waiting for the big things, the big wins in life are fewer and farther between. And I don't want to wait for those in order to have some joy. So I often in manufacturing, just acknowledging some really cool things, whether it's nature or whatever. But I think the other piece of it is calming that internal critic. So I no longer have those harsh words and beating up and like caring what other people think and everything. Like I've used my problem solving framework to nullify that for the most part in my life. Of course, it's ingrained in me to beat up on myself. So it's not like it doesn't happen.
Right.
So there's that. So like calming the internal voice. And I would say the other piece of the puzzle is giving myself the space and the grace to truly process the things in life. And so what people who are listening would know is you and we tried to do this a few weeks ago or many weeks ago now. And I had a really significant reaction to some stuff I was on, and I got very, very sick, and it was horrible. That was the day that I texted you. I'm like, I'm actually on the floor in the bathroom.
Right. You're like, do you want to still try it? Heck no.
I was willing because I was committed, right? But I'm like, thank you so much. And I wouldn't have been able to do it in the end anyway. It wouldn't have mattered. And then we rescheduled again, and I ended up with COVID, and then I had laryngitis from COVID. And what is so like, I reflect on that and I think, okay, I didn't drop a ton of balls. I had to push a few things forward because as a speaker and, a podcast guest and doing media and stuff, like I need a voice. So that's a problem. But I was still able to keep up on the main priorities in the workday without, getting too beat up on myself that my book is stalled. Like it had to sort of go, not stalled, but it's just in the parking lot while I get better and not having that sensation of beating myself up for it. So I think those are a few of the really key strategies in how I practice self-care.
No, I love them. You talk about so many things that I'm tuned into as well, from, the habit stacking. I don't know if you read James Clear, Atomic Habits, the mindfulness practices, as well as just, the grace of life is going to happen and to not let it consume you and blame yourself for it. So those are all amazing. Now, this was your fifth book coming out, right? So you've got 4 other books out there though. So
I
definitely do. If people want to check them out, can you want to just quickly kind of give me a little synopsis of each?
So there's From Business Cards to Business Relationships. So there were 2 of those. And that was all about professional networking and building your personal brand, which was the original iteration of my business. Then there was a book called Married My Mom, Birthed a Dog. How to, how to be resilient when life sucks. Now, I thought the title was hilarious, so thank you for laughing. My family didn't think it was that funny. They thought that was a bit embarrassing, but obviously it was a joke. I did not do either, but it really just walks through that experience of having neuropathic pain and figuring out how do I succeed anyway, despite my limitations physically. And then there was Busy is a Bad Excuse, which was just a really short ebook around getting control of your time, which then led to a mini book as well that you can get on Amazon, which is called Take Back Your Weekends, Stress Less, Do More, and Be Happier. And the next book is going to be called The Stress Illusion.
Ooh, I can't wait.
So stay tuned for that one, because that's my whole philosophy that I teach corporately and with executives when I go into companies or speak at a conference.
That's awesome. We'll definitely have to keep in contact about that one.
Yeah, I will definitely give you an advanced copy.
Yes.
That would be awesome.
So just, one thing I always connect to self-care as well as gratitude. And I know I said, your silver lining mindset and philosophy definitely almost seems to give that gratitude throughout your day. But what would you say are some of the bigger, like top 2 to 3 things you're the most grateful for?
Oh my gosh. Well, my mom, for sure, because she really is an integral part of my life. And so without her, I wouldn't be able to continue to function. She picks up a lot of the the slack in my life, which is thus the quote unquote married my mom, because I had to learn how to ask for help with my physical limitations. And I would say I'm grateful for, this is interesting coming to me, for the gift, I believe it's a gift that many of us have, to go through something and then be able to distill that experience and observe human nature so that you can inspire others to rise through what they're going through. Like that makes me feel very, very purposeful.
Yeah, that's huge. And it's, I mean, I know it's been, I'm sure, a process to get there. So congratulations, because sounds like a great place to be, you know, to be able to not stay stuck in the moment and be able to pull out, you know, those buckets.
You know, I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
For the record, I do not ever want to set an expectation. My mom is often reminding me to read my own books and take my own advice. And I do. And so I think that the key is, and this is the last thing I would sort of leave with people, is that it's one of my solution activation principles, is the second response is the priority, get to it faster. And what I mean by that is we've got patterns, we've got ways that we interact with people in our lives, with our work, with ourselves. And those decades of reinforcing patterns are not going to change in a dime. But if we can start to recognize them and take strategic action to interrupt those patterns and try again with a better solution, you know what? Like if you worry about something for 3 weeks and we can get that down to 2 weeks and then 1 week, and then you get to a point where you don't, worry for longer than 10 minutes. Oh my gosh.
That's huge.
That's beautiful. But don't beat yourself up for worrying as an instant reaction if you were to take worrying as an option. So second response is the most important. Get to it faster.
That's awesome. So Allison, where can people find you? How can they work with you? How can they grab your books?
Awesome. AllisonGraham.com is my website. So everything's there. If you are involved in conference planning, I mean, that's my main work, right? Is to go into companies and organizations and do speeches. So there's that. And then there's my bigger program where people can engage with me as a team and we can actually start to implement some of these, things that I touched on an ongoing basis. But I do take a very few limited number of private one-on-one coaching clients. If somebody's really wants to shift their patterns in their life, talk to me and we'll get you on the wait list and we'll work with you, because it's what jazzes me up. But my clients keep renewing the contracts. That's the problem. And I'm like, no, you've got a max. I got other people. So anyway, that I love as well. So, and there's the books and the blogs and the social media, and however I can serve is awesome.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Allison, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks so much again for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please let me know any questions or comments that you have. Also, if you can please leave an Apple 5-star review so that this episode can be shared with more women. There's 2 quotes that I love. Alone we may be strong, but together we are stronger, as well as when women support each other, incredible things happen. So let's be stronger and incredible together, as well as maybe just have some fun along the way. Thanks so much and talk to you soon. Bye.